Take a deep breath. Let your body sink into stillness. The day is over now, and the night belongs to you. Let your eyes close gently. Allow your thoughts to settle like dust on ancient stone. Tonight, your journey drifts backward, far beyond memory, far beyond maps. You are no longer here. You are floating back through centuries, back through mist, stone, and candlelight. The wind softens, the world quiets. You arrive in the heart of Tudor England around the year 1536. During the final days of Queen Anne Boleyn, you awaken to a world of shadow and silk. The sky is still dark, but already heavy with the promise of dawn. Outside the Tower of London, where you now find yourself, the Thames breathes mist into the cold morning air. You hear birds, ravens, crows, sparrows, calling softly along the stone parapets. You are a lady in waiting to the Queen. Your father serves in the royal household. Your mother married you to this position when you were barely 14. Your family is not poor, but you are not free. Today, you are to wait. The Queen has been confined to her apartments. Word arrived 3 days ago that she is under investigation. No one dares speak openly. The King controls more than palaces and parliaments. He controls marriage, life, and even the future of those who serve his wives. Your chambermaid braids your hair with trembling hands. She says little, only murmurs prayers to the Virgin Mary, though such prayers are now whispered cautiously. Your dress is dark velvet, freshly pressed. She adds a simple pearl necklace to your throat. You are told to walk with grace, but say nothing. Outside, the guards wait. They stand in pairs, their faces blank, their hands resting on sword hilts. You step carefully through the stone corridors, past tapestries depicting saints and kings, into the Queen's receiving chamber. The air is thick with the scent of dying roses and unlit candles. You enter, curtsy low, and wait. The Queen sits by the narrow window, her back straight, her hands folded in her lap. She does not turn to look at you. You, a young noblewoman dressed in layers of brocade and linen, stand in the doorway, uncertain whether to speak or remain silent. Every movement of your hand, every flicker of your eyes feels dangerous now. One wrong word, one careless glance could mark you as complicit in whatever accusations swirl around the Queen. Here, being a lady to Anne Boleyn once promised prestige, influence, and proximity to the crown. But now, behind the jewels and ceremony lies a darker truth. The world of betrayal, whispered accusations, and the scaffold's shadow. Before we uncover the hidden final days of Anne Boleyn and those who served her, let me pause to invite you into this journey. If you are resting in bed, perhaps late at night, letting these stories carry you toward sleep, or if you are walking, working, imagining the cold stone walls and the flicker of torchlight as if you were truly there, you are welcome here. Our time together is brief, yet we meet across centuries to witness the hidden truths of the past. Now let us step back into those dim chambers where women lived in beauty and terror, where loyalty became dangerous, and where serving a queen meant risking everything. To be a lady in an Ublin's household in the spring of 1536 was to appear fortunate. You wore gowns of silk imported from Italy, adorned with pearls that caught the weak English sunlight, and moved in the company of the Queen herself. You looked as though you were one of the most privileged women in all of England. You dined at royal tables, attended chapel beside the Queen, and watched as she moved through her days with a grace that seemed untouchable. Yet in truth, much of your existence was now shadowed by fear. Fear your father never prepared you for. Fear your mother could not have imagined. You had been expected to embody loyalty while remaining invisible, to serve without being noticed, to listen without appearing to hear. But now the rules had changed. Now, Silence itself felt like conspiracy. Gossip traveled faster than horses through the corridors of the tower. A careless word overheard by the wrong servant could seal your fate alongside the Queen's. The illusion of safety had shattered like glass upon stone, and you were left standing in a court that no longer felt like a court, but a trap closing slowly around everyone inside. Everywhere you turned, eyes followed you. In the Tower of London, nothing went unseen. Guards listened at doorways. Other ladies watched from the shadows. Even your fellow attendants, women you had served beside for months, could betray you for their own survival. The Queen's letters were seized, her conversations twisted, her gestures interpreted as evidence. A simple moment of laughter shared with a musician was now called seduction. A kind word to a gentleman of the court was now branded treason. You had been present for some of these moments. You had seen the Queen smile. You had watched her speak, and now you wondered, silently, terrified, whether your presence made you a witness or an accomplice. Court was no longer a palace. It was a stage where the audience had turned into executioners. To survive, you learned the art of stillness, of avoiding eye contact, of measuring every breath. But even the most cautious women were vulnerable to accusations that could rise from nowhere and consume everything. The Queen does not speak to you that first morning. She sits by the window, her fingers tracing the edge of the stone sill, her eyes distant. You stand near the doorway, your hands folded, waiting for instruction that does not come. The silence stretches. Minutes feel like hours. Finally, she turns her head slightly. Her voice, when it comes, is soft, almost gentle. "They will ask you questions," she says. "You feel your breath catch. About me, about what you have seen, what you have heard." She pauses. "Tell them only what you must. Nothing more." You nod, though your hands tremble. You want to ask what will happen to her, to you, to all of them. But the words die in your throat. She turns back to the window. You are dismissed without another word. Outside the chamber, you lean against the cold stone wall, your heart pounding. Another lady passes you in the corridor. Her name is Margaret. She was with the Queen longer than you. She does not meet your eyes. She walks quickly, her skirts rustling, her face pale. You wonder if she has already been questioned. You wonder what she said. The day stretches long and hollow. You are not summoned again. You sit in the small chamber reserved for the Queen's attendants, embroidering a pillowcase with shaking hands. The needle slips. You prick your finger. A drop of blood blooms on the white linen. You stare at it, watching it spread, and you think of how quickly everything can stain. That night, you lie awake on your narrow bed. The other ladies sleep around you, or pretend to. You hear soft breathing, the rustle of blankets, a muffled sob from the far corner. No one speaks. The tower is never truly silent. You hear footsteps echoing in distant corridors, the clang of metal, voices too low to understand. You close your eyes and try to remember how you arrived here. How 6 months ago, being chosen to serve Anne Boleyn felt like a dream. How your mother wept with pride. How your father spoke of the honor, the opportunity, the future it promised. Now that future felt like ash. Let your body rest now. Let your thoughts soften. This journey has only just begun. Take another deep breath. Let the quiet unfold around you. Feel the weight of the day ease from your shoulders. Let your breath match the slow rhythm of the River Thames, flowing cold and dark beyond the tower walls. Tomorrow brings more questions, more silence, more waiting. But tonight, you are here, suspended between the girl you were and the woman you are becoming. A woman who serves a queen condemned. A woman who may yet be asked to choose between truth and survival. And so your story begins. Take another deep breath. Let the tension of yesterday fade like morning mist over the Thames. Your body grows heavier, more at ease. The stone walls around you feel less cold now, almost familiar. You are still here, still waiting, still watching. The night has passed, and a new day begins in the Tower of London. But nothing feels new. Everything feels weighted with waiting. You wake before dawn. The chamber where you sleep with the other ladies is dim, lit only by the faint glow of dying embers in the small hearth. You hear someone crying softly into her pillow. You do not ask who. You do not look. You rise quietly, washing your face in a basin of cold water that makes your skin sting. You dress yourself carefully, each layer of clothing a ritual. Shift, kirtle, gown, sleeves. Your fingers fumble with the laces. Everything takes longer when your hands will not stop trembling. You are summoned to the Queen's chambers just after sunrise. The corridor is long and narrow. Your footsteps echo against stone. A guard opens the door without looking at you. Inside, the Queen sits at a small table, a book open before her. She is reading scripture. Her lips move silently, forming words you cannot hear. You curtsy and wait. She does not acknowledge you immediately. You stand there, hands folded, breathing as quietly as you can. The room smells of lavender and something else, something sour like fear. Finally, she closes the book and looks up. Her eyes are tired, ringed with shadow, but her gaze is steady. "Sit," she says, gesturing to a stool across from her. You obey, settling carefully onto the worn wood. She studies you for a long moment. "You are young," she says. "You have not been at court long." You nod. "3 seasons, Your Grace." She smiles faintly. That is both a blessing and a curse. You do not understand, but you do not ask. She continues. "They will question you soon. Men from the King's Council. They will ask what you have seen, who I spoke with, how I behaved, whether I was ever alone with certain gentlemen." Your throat tightens. You remember the musician, the one who played the lute at the masque last month. The Queen had spoken to him briefly, complimented his playing. You had been standing 3 paces away. It had seemed like nothing. Now it felt like everything. "What should I say, Your Grace?" You whisper. She looks at you with something like pity. "The truth," she says, "but only the truth they already know. Do not offer more. Do not try to protect me with lies. Lies will destroy you." She reaches across the table and touches your hand briefly. Her fingers are cold. You are dismissed. You leave the chamber feeling more lost than before. In the corridor, you nearly collide with another lady. Her name is Jane. She was the Queen's favorite once, before the arrests began. Now her face is drawn, her eyes hollow. She grabs your arm. "Have they spoken to you yet?" she asks. "Not yet," you answer. She nods quickly, releases you, and hurries past. You watch her go, wondering what she has already told them, wondering if she has already condemned the Queen to save herself. The day passes in strange, disjointed fragments. You sit with the other ladies in the small receiving room. No one embroiders. No one reads. You simply sit, hands folded, waiting. A servant brings bread and weak ale. You eat without tasting. Outside the narrow window, you can see a corner of the courtyard. Soldiers drill in formation. Their movements are precise, mechanical. You wonder if they will be the ones standing at the scaffold. If there is to be a scaffold. In the afternoon, a man arrives. He wears the livery of the king's household. He does not introduce himself. He simply points at you and another lady, a woman named Catherine. "You will come with me," he says. Your legs feel weak as you stand. Catherine's face has gone white. You follow the man down unfamiliar corridors, deeper into the tower. The air grows colder. The walls seem to press closer. You are brought to a small chamber with a single table and 3 chairs. 2 men sit on one side. You and Catherine are gestured to the other. The older man speaks first. His voice is flat, emotionless. You serve the Queen. Yes, my lord. You have been in her household since January. Yes, my lord. You attend her daily. Yes, my lord. He leans forward slightly. Tell me, did you ever observe the Queen in private conversation with Mark Smeaton? Your mind races. Mark Smeaton, the musician. You remember him at the Masque. You remember the Queen praising his skill. You remember standing nearby, holding her embroidered gloves, watching the candles flicker. I saw her speak with him once, my lord, at a masque. Briefly, he writes something on a parchment before him. Briefly, he repeats. How briefly, you measure your words carefully, remembering the Queen's warning. A few minutes, my lord, she complimented his playing. Then she moved on to speak with others. Were you present for the entire conversation? Yes, my lord. I stood near. Was anyone else present? Yes, my lord. Many others. Ladies, gentlemen, servants. The man writes more. The second man, younger, leans back in his chair and watches you with narrowed eyes. Did the Queen ever give gifts to Mark Smeaton? Not that I witnessed, my lord. Did she ever send him letters? Not that I witnessed, my lord. Did she ever request his presence in her private chambers? Not that I witnessed, my lord. The questioning continues. They ask about other men. Sir Henry Norris, Sir Francis Weston, Sir William Brereton. For each name, you give the same answer. You witnessed public interactions only, brief conversations, polite exchanges, nothing private, nothing improper. You do not lie, you simply do not offer anything beyond what they ask. The older man finally nods. You may go, but you will remain available. We may have more questions. You curtsy and leave, your legs unsteady, your heart pounding in your throat. Catherine is questioned after you. You wait in the corridor outside, leaning against the wall, trying to steady your breathing. When she emerges, her face is streaked with tears. She does not look at you. She walks quickly back toward the Queen's chambers, her shoulders shaking. You follow more slowly, giving her space. You wonder what she said. You wonder if it was different from what you said. You wonder if the differences will matter. That evening, the Queen asks to see you again. You enter her chamber and find her standing by the window, staring out at the darkening sky. She does not turn when you enter. Did they question you? She asks. Yes, Your Grace. What did you tell them? You repeat the conversation as accurately as you can. She listens in silence. When you finish, she nods once. You did well. Her voice is soft, distant. You obeyed me. You told the truth without offering more. That is all you can do now. She finally turns to face you. Her expression is calm, almost serene, but her eyes carry a weight you cannot name. They have already decided, she says quietly. The questions are theatre. The outcome was determined before the first arrest. You want to protest. You want to say something comforting, but you find no words. She smiles sadly. You are young. You will survive this. You will serve another queen, perhaps. You will marry, bear children, grow old. Remember me kindly, if you can. Do not let them make me a monster in your memory. You feel tears burning in your eyes. Your Grace, I. She raises a hand, stopping you. Go now, rest. Tomorrow will be harder. You curtsy deeply and leave. In the corridor, you lean against the cold stone wall and let the tears fall silently. You do not make a sound. You have learned that much, at least. Silence is survival. Silence is all you have left. That night, you lie awake again. The other ladies are restless. Someone whispers prayers in the darkness. Someone else weeps quietly. You stare at the ceiling, tracing the shapes of shadows cast by the dying firelight. You think about the Queen's words. You will survive this. But survival feels hollow when it means watching someone you serve, someone you have grown to admire despite everything, walk toward death while you stand helpless. You close your eyes and try to imagine what comes next. But the future is as dark as the chamber around you, and so you breathe, in and out, slowly, carefully, waiting for dawn. Let your breath slow now. Let your body sink deeper into rest. The night grows long, but you are safe here in this moment. The story continues, but for now, you are only breathing, only waiting, only drifting in the space between sleep and waking. Tomorrow will come, but tonight, let yourself rest. Let the weight of these days settle gently around you like a blanket. You are here. You are whole, and the river of time flows on, carrying you forward through the darkness, toward whatever light remains. The spring of 1536. I remember the scent of hawthorn blossoms drifting through the arrow-slit windows of the tower, a cruel mockery of the life blooming outside our stone cage. I am Jane, and I was her lady-in-waiting, the Queen's lady, Queen Anne. To speak her name now feels like a betrayal, a whisper that could condemn me as it condemned her. It began so suddenly. One day we were at Greenwich, watching the May Day jousts, the king laughing beside her. The next, she was a prisoner. They brought her here, to the very rooms she had occupied in splendor before her coronation. How strange fate is. The path to her crown and the path to her scaffold were one and the same. The first few days were a blur of confusion and terror. We, her ladies, were her jailers as much as her companions. We were watched constantly. Every word, every tear was noted by the constable's wife, Lady Kingston, a woman whose pity was as thin as a spider's thread. We were terrified. Whispers followed us down the cold corridors. Treason, adultery, incest. The words were like stones thrown at her, at us. We didn't know what to believe, only that the world we knew had fractured. But the Queen, she was the calm at the center of the storm. One moment she would be laughing, a high, brittle sound that echoed unnervingly in the small chamber, recalling some past happiness with the king. The next, she would fall into a profound silence, her dark eyes staring at nothing, lost in a place none of us could follow. She would speak of her innocence, her voice clear and steady. She'd say, "I am innocent of these charges, but I know my fate is sealed. The king desires another, Jane Seymour." We all knew. Her brother, George Boleyn, Lord Rochford, was imprisoned in the Beauchamp Tower, close enough that we might have heard his voice if the walls weren't so thick. The thought of him, accused of the most unnatural of sins with his own sister, was a horror we could barely comprehend. She spoke of him with a deep, aching sorrow. "Oh, my brother, my poor brother," she would weep. "You are condemned for my sake." We helped her dress each morning, our hands trembling as we fastened the familiar gowns. It felt like dressing a doll, a beautiful, living doll whose time was running out. She insisted on maintaining her dignity. Her hair was always perfectly coiffed, her jewels, though fewer, now carefully chosen. She was a queen to the last. "They cannot take that from me," she'd say, looking at her reflection in the polished silver mirror. "I will not go to my death a common criminal, One afternoon, she called me over to the window. Below, in the courtyard, men were building something. A wooden platform, a scaffold, but it was different. It was being constructed by a French swordsman, they said, brought specially from Calais. A small mercy from the king, to grant her a swift end with a sword, not the clumsy English axe. She watched them, her face pale but composed. She turned to me and said, "I hear he is very expert. I have but a little neck." And then she laughed. She actually laughed, placing her hands around her throat. We stared, aghast, unsure if she was brave or had lost her mind. Perhaps they were the same thing in a place like this. The days leading up to the execution were the worst. We barely slept. We would hear her praying, her voice a low murmur in the dark. She requested to receive the sacrament, and in front of the constable she swore on the eternal salvation of her soul that she had never been unfaithful to the king. I believed her in that moment, with God as her witness and death just hours away. I saw not a scheming adulteress, but a terrified woman wronged by a powerful man. The morning of May 19th dawned grey and damp. A chill that had nothing to do with the weather seeped into the room. We dressed her in a gown of grey damask, with a crimson kirtle underneath. She chose a simple gable headdress. She was calm, so terribly calm. She gave us her prayer books, her small jewels, tokens to remember her by. She embraced each of us, her ladies, who had shared her final, dreadful days. "Do not weep for me," she whispered, her voice husky. "Pray for me." When the constable, Sir William Kingston, came for her, she walked towards him without hesitation. We followed her, a small, weeping procession, across the green. The crowd was silent, a sea of solemn faces. She climbed the steps of the scaffold with a grace that defied the horror of the scene. She looked out at the people, her people, and she spoke. Her voice did not tremble. She did not accuse the king. She asked for prayers. She commended her soul to Christ, and she knelt. I couldn't watch. I turned away, pressing my face into the shoulder of the lady next to me. We heard a murmur, the swish of the sword, and then a single, sickening thud. A cannon fired from the ramparts, signaling to the king, miles away, that he was free. It was over. We were dismissed, sent away from the tower, scattered like leaves in the wind, forever bound by the secret we shared. I left a part of myself in that cold, stone fortress. I often wonder what they did with her, the Queen of 1,000 Days. They say she was buried unceremoniously in the chapel nearby, her head tucked beside her. Years have passed. King Henry has had other wives, other sorrows, but sometimes, on a quiet spring morning, I can still smell the hawthorn blossoms, and I see her face. Not the frightened prisoner, but the brilliant, captivating woman who flew so close to the sun. And I remember the Queen, my Queen Anne Boleyn, and the terrible price of a king's love. Thank you for listening to my story. Please remember to subscribe for more tales from the shadows of history. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're re-stepping back in time to witness one of the most dramatic and pivotal events in English history, the trial of Queen Anne Boleyn. This wasn't just a legal proceeding, it was a carefully orchestrated piece of political theatre that would seal the fate of a queen and change the course of a nation. So, how did it come to this? How did Anne Boleyn, the woman for whom King Henry VIII had defied the Pope and broken with the Catholic Church, end up fighting for her life? The story is a whirlwind of power, passion, and politics. By early 1536, Anne's position was precarious. She had failed to produce the male heir Henry desperately craved, only giving him a daughter, the future Queen Elizabeth I. The king's eye had already started to wander, fixating on a new lady-in-waiting, Jane Seymour. Anne's sharp intellect and political influence, once her greatest assets, had also made her powerful enemies, chief among them, the king's principal secretary, Thomas Cromwell. Cromwell, a master political strategist, saw an opportunity. Whether he was acting on Henry's explicit orders or simply trying to solve the king's great matter is still debated by historians. But what's clear is that he moved with ruthless efficiency. The downfall began with a series of arrests in late April and early May 1536. The first to be taken was a court musician named Mark Smeaton. Under interrogation and likely torture, Smeaton confessed to adultery with the Queen. This confession, extracted under duress, was the key that unlocked the floodgates. Following Smeaton's arrest, a wave of panic swept through the court. Sir Henry Norris, a close friend of the king, was arrested, along with Sir Francis Weston and William Brereton, both prominent courtiers. Most shocking of all was the arrest of Anne's own brother, George Boleyn, Lord Rochford. The charges were sensational and designed to cause maximum scandal: adultery, incest, and plotting the king's death. These accusations were not just personal attacks. They constituted high treason, the most serious crime one could commit. On May 2nd, 1536, Queen Anne herself was arrested and taken by barge to the Tower of London, entering through the infamous Traitors' Gate. The very woman who had been crowned with such splendor just 3 years earlier was now a prisoner, facing the darkest of futures. The trials that followed were a mere formality, their outcomes predetermined. On May 12th, Smeaton, Norris, Weston, and Brereton were tried at Westminster Hall. Despite the others pleading not guilty and the evidence against them being flimsy at best, based on gossip, innuendo, and a coerced confessional, were found guilty of treason and sentenced to death. Their fate was a grim foreshadowing of what was to come for the Queen. 3 days later, on May 15th, it was Anne and her brother George's turn. Their trial was held in the King's Hall within the Tower of London, a grand public spectacle. The jury was composed of their peers, a panel of 24 noblemen, presided over by their own uncle, the Duke of Norfolk. Imagine the tension in that room. Anne, dressed in black, maintained her composure with remarkable dignity. She listened to the charges, which included a detailed list of alleged affairs and a shocking accusation of an incestuous relationship with her brother. The evidence presented by the prosecution was incredibly weak. It relied on overheard conversations taken out of context and speculative timelines that didn't add up. For instance, the prosecution claimed Anne and Henry Norris had been seen in a compromising conversation, but witnesses for the defense were never called. The most damning charge, incest with her brother George, was based on an alleged comment from George's own wife, Lady Rochford, who was known to have a difficult relationship with her husband. No solid proof was ever produced. Anne defended herself eloquently and intelligently. She calmly refuted each accusation, point by point, dismantling the prosecution's case with logic and reason. Many onlookers were convinced of her innocence. The Spanish ambassador, Eustace Chapeyes, who was no friend to Anne, even wrote that she answered so well that many believed she would be acquitted. Her brother George also mounted a spirited defense, challenging the flimsy evidence against him. But it was all in vain. The verdict was a foregone conclusion. The jury, under immense pressure from the king and Cromwell, delivered the only verdict that would be accepted: guilty. The sentence was read out by the Duke of Norfolk, who, with tears in his eyes, condemned his own niece and nephew to death. Anne was to be either burned at the stake or beheaded at the king's pleasure. Upon hearing the sentence, Anne did not break down. Instead, she raised her hands to the heavens and made a solemn declaration, swearing on the damnation of her immortal soul that she was innocent of the crimes laid against her. It was a powerful, final act of defiance. In a supposed act of mercy, Henry commuted her sentence from burning to beheading, but he added a unique and perhaps cruel twist. He ordered an expert swordsman to be brought from Calais, France, to carry out the execution, as a sword was considered a more noble and quicker death than the traditional executioner's axe. On May 19, 1536, just 4 days after her trial, Anne Boleyn walked to the scaffold on Tower Green. In her final speech, she was careful not to criticize the king, likely to protect her daughter, Elizabeth. She asked the crowd to pray for the king, calling him a gentle and merciful prince. With her final words, she commended her soul to God. The French swordsman did his work with a single, swift stroke. The trial and execution of Anne Boleyn sent shockwaves through England and across Europe. It demonstrated the absolute and terrifying power of Henry VIII and the lengths he would go to secure his dynasty. Just 1 day after Anne's execution, Henry was formally betrothed to Jane Seymour. The speed of these events shows just how much this was about removing an obstacle to the king's desires. The trial itself stands as a stark example of justice manipulated for political gain. It was a show trial, designed not to find the truth, but to provide a legal justification for an act of state-sanctioned murder. Anne Boleyn's story serves as a timeless and tragic reminder of the fragility of power and the devastating human cost of political ambition. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the trial of Anne Boleyn. It's a story that continues to fascinate us centuries later. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next historical journey. Let me know in the comments what you think about Anne's trial. Was she a victim, a schemer, or something in between? I'd love to read your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. History remembers her as the queen who lost her head, but her final words reveal a woman of unshakable dignity. On that cold day in May 1536, Anne Boleyn stood before her accusers, not as a condemned criminal, but as a queen. She faced the court with a serene expression, a stark contrast to the gravity of the charges against her. Her voice, though soft, carried through the silent hall. "I have come here," she began, "not to argue against the judgment made of me, but to accept what you have decided." She didn't plead for her life, nor did she curse her enemies. Instead, she spoke of the king, Henry VIII, with a surprising gentleness. "For my lord the king, I have always wished him well. He has been a good, gentle, and sovereign lord to me. If any person should meddle of my cause, I require them to judge the best." Imagine the shock in that room. Here was a woman, stripped of her crown and her honor, showing not bitterness, but a strange sort of loyalty. She knew her words would be recorded, twisted, and analyzed for centuries. Yet, she chose grace. She spoke of her innocence, but framed it as a matter for a higher power. "And thus I take my leave of the world and of you all, and I heartily desire you all to pray for me." With that, she concluded her speech, leaving a legacy far more complex than that of a mere traitor. Her lady-in-waiting, a woman who had served her through triumph and terror, watched it all. Later, she would write of those final hours. In the Tower of London, Anne spent her last night, not in despair, but in prayer and quiet reflection. She seemed almost cheerful, joking with her jailer that her neck was small, so the executioner's job would be easy. This wasn't madness. It was a woman taking control of the only thing she had left, her own narrative. As dawn broke on May 19th, Anne dressed with care. She chose a dark grey damask gown, trimmed with ermine, and a red kirtle underneath red, the colour of Catholic martyrs. It was a final, silent statement. On the scaffold, she repeated her sentiments from the trial, asking the crowd to pray for her and for the king. She knelt, uttered a final prayer, and with one swift stroke, it was over. Her lady-in-waiting would remember the eerie silence that followed, a silence that spoke volumes. In her final moments, Anne Boleyn wasn't the seductive schemer her enemies painted her to be. She was a mother, a queen, and a woman who faced the end with a courage that has echoed through history. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that even in the face of absolute powerlessness, dignity can be a form of defiance. What we remember is not just her fall, but the incredible strength with which she met it. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story as compelling as I do, be sure to subscribe for more journeys into the past. Breathe deeply. Let the air move through you slowly, gently, like water over smooth stones. Your body is at rest. Your mind is quiet. The world has narrowed to this single moment, this single breath. You are still here, still in the tower, still in the final days of May, 1536. The verdict has been given, the sentence pronounced. Now there is only waiting. Waiting for the king's final decision. Waiting to learn whether it will be fire or steel. Waiting for the end. You wake to silence. No rain today, no bells, just the heavy, oppressive quiet of the tower in early morning. You dress slowly, your movements automatic, your mind elsewhere. The other ladies move around you like shadows. No one speaks. There is nothing left to say. You have all cried yourselves dry. You have all prayed until the words lost meaning. Now there is only the waiting. A guard comes to the door. The Queen wishes to see you, all of you. You follow him down the corridor, your footsteps echoing softly. When you enter her chamber, you find her seated at the small table, writing. She looks up as you enter and sets down her quill. "Come," she says, "sit with me." You settle onto cushions and stools around her. She looks at each of you in turn, her gaze steady and calm. "I have been writing letters," she says, "to my daughter, to those who might remember me kindly. I want you to witness them, to know that I spoke the truth until the end." She picks up one of the parchments and reads aloud. Her voice is soft but clear. She writes of her innocence, of her love for Elizabeth, her daughter, of her hope that the child will grow strong and wise despite everything. She writes of forgiveness for those who accused her falsely. She writes of her faith in God's mercy. When she finishes, there are tears on your cheeks. She sets the letter down and looks at you. "Do not weep for me," she says gently. "I have made my peace. I am ready." A priest arrives in the late morning, not the one from before, but a different man, younger, with kind eyes. He comes to offer spiritual counsel. The Queen speaks with him privately while you and the other ladies wait outside. You sit in the narrow corridor, backs against the cold stone wall, and listen to the murmur of voices beyond the door. After an hour, the priest emerges. His face is pale, but there is something like awe in his expression. "She is prepared," he says quietly. "She has confessed fully. Her soul is at peace." He leaves, and you are summoned back inside. The Queen spends the afternoon in prayer. She kneels at her small altar, her hands folded, her lips moving silently. You kneel behind her with the other ladies, your own prayers tangled and confused. You do not know what to pray for anymore. For mercy, it is too late. For strength, she already has more than you could imagine. For peace, she has already found it. So you simply kneel and let the silence fill you. Let the weight of these final hours press down until you feel hollowed out, emptied of everything but this moment. A messenger arrives as the light begins to fade. He carries word from the king. The sentence has been decided. Not burning, beheading, and not by the common axe of England, but by a skilled swordsman brought from France. A swift, clean death. The queen receives the news with a slight nod. The king shows mercy. She says quietly, "A sword is quicker than an axe. I am grateful for that kindness." You cannot tell if she is sincere or if the words are simply what she knows she must say. Perhaps both. The execution is set for the morning, tomorrow at dawn. You feel the news settle over you like a shroud. Tomorrow, the queen looks at you and the other ladies. "I would like to spend this final evening in peace," she says. "Will you sit with me? Not as servants, as companions." You nod, unable to speak. You settle around her chamber, some on cushions, some on the floor, one on the edge of her bed. She sits in her chair, her hands folded in her lap, and begins to speak. She tells you stories, not of the court, not of the king, but of her childhood, of growing up at Hever Castle with her siblings, of learning to read and write in France, of her first court appearance, how nervous she was, how she stumbled over her curtsy. She tells you of her love for music, for dancing, for books. She speaks as though she has all the time in the world, as though tomorrow is not coming, as though death is not waiting just beyond the dawn. You listen, grateful for the distraction, grateful for these final glimpses of the woman behind the crown. As night falls, candles are lit. The queen grows quieter. She asks for wine, and you pour it for her. She sips slowly, her eyes distant. "Do you think," she asks softly, "that people will remember me?" Jane, the boldest of you, speaks. "Yes, Your Grace. They will remember your strength, your grace, your refusal to bend." The queen smiles faintly. "I hope they remember that I loved my daughter, that I tried to be a good queen, even when the role became impossible, that I did not betray the man I married, no matter what they say." The hours pass slowly. Midnight comes and goes. The queen finally rises from her chair. "I should rest," she says. Even if sleep does not come, you help her undress down to her shift. You help her into bed. She lies down, her hands folded on her chest, her eyes open, staring at the ceiling. You and the other ladies settle into the corners of the room. No one sleeps. You simply wait together in the flickering candlelight, listening to the quiet sounds of the tower at night, distant footsteps, the wind against the windows, the occasional murmur of guards changing shifts. Sometime before dawn, the queen speaks into the darkness. "Thank you," she says, "for staying with me, for not abandoning me when it would have been easier to do so. You will carry this with you for the rest of your lives, I know, but I hope you will also carry something else. The knowledge that even in the darkest moments, there is dignity. There is grace. There is the choice to remain true to yourself, no matter what the world demands." You do not respond. You simply listen, letting her words settle into your heart like stones dropping into deep water. The sky begins to lighten. Grey dawn seeps through the narrow window. A guard knocks softly at the door. It is time. The queen rises from her bed. She does not tremble. She allows you to dress her. A simple grey gown, a white shift beneath. No jewelry except the small cross at her throat. Her hair is bound up, her neck left bare. She looks at herself in the mirror one final time. "I am ready," she says. You follow her from the chamber. The walk to the scaffold is short. The executioner's platform has been built in the courtyard, a raised wooden stage draped in black cloth. A small crowd has gathered. Nobles, officials, witnesses required by law. You and the other ladies are allowed to stand nearby. The queen climbs the steps to the scaffold with steady steps. She stands in the center and looks out at the assembled faces. She speaks, her voice clear and calm. "Good Christian people," she says, "I am come hither to die, according to law, and therefore I will speak nothing against it. I come here only to die, and thus to yield myself humbly to the will of the King, my Lord. And if, in my life, I did ever offend the King's grace, surely, with my death, I do now atone." She pauses. "I pray and beseech you all to pray for the life of the King, my sovereign Lord and yours, who is one of the best princes on the face of the earth, and who has always treated me so well that better could not be. Wherefore I submit to death with good will, humbly asking pardon of all the world." She removes her headdress. One of her ladies steps forward to blindfold her. The Queen kneels, placing her hands together in prayer. She whispers something. You cannot hear the words, but you see her lips move. "To Christ I commend my soul. Jesus, receive my soul." Over and over, like a heartbeat. The executioner steps forward, his sword hidden in the straw until the final moment. He moves quickly, silently. The sword flashes in the morning light. It is over in an instant. One clean stroke. No pain, no struggle, just stillness. You do not remember falling to your knees. You do not remember the scream that tears from your throat, or the hands of the other ladies pulling you close. You only remember the sudden, absolute silence that follows. The Queen is gone. The woman you served, who spoke to you with kindness, who faced death with more courage than most face life, is gone. And you are left standing in the morning light, your hands shaking, your heart shattered, knowing that nothing will ever be the same again. Let your breath come slowly now. Let the tears fall if they need to. Let the weight of this moment settle over you gently. The story is almost over, but the memory will remain. Let yourself rest now in the knowledge that you witnessed something true, something terrible and beautiful and unbearably human. Let sleep come softly. Let the darkness hold you. You are here. You are whole. And the river of time flows on, carrying her memory forward, carrying your memory forward into whatever comes next. Breathe slowly. Let the air move through you like a gentle tide, in and out. Your body is heavy, resting deeply now. The weight of all you have carried begins to ease. You are here, in this final moment of the story that is both ending and beginning. The morning after, the world after, the life that continues when you thought it could not. You do not remember how you left the scaffold. You do not remember the hands that guided you away, the voices that spoke comfort you could not hear. You remember only fragments, the cold stone beneath your knees, the smell of blood and straw, the way the light looked, grey and pale, as though the sun itself had turned away. You were led back to the Queen's chambers, though she would never return to them. You and the other ladies collapsed together, holding each other, weeping until there were no tears left, only dry, shaking sobs that came from somewhere deeper than grief. Hours passed. Someone brought water. Someone brought bread. No one ate. You sat together in silence, staring at the empty chair where she used to sit, at the small altar where she prayed, at the bed where she spent her final night. Everything felt wrong. The air felt wrong. The light felt wrong. The world felt like a place you no longer recognized, a place you no longer belonged to. You watched as they carried away her embroidered cushions, her prayer book, the small carved box where she kept her jewelry. You wanted to scream at them to stop, to leave something, to let her remain in some small way. But you said nothing. You had learned silence too well. By evening, you were told to leave. The chambers were to be prepared for the next queen. Yes, already there were whispers. The king was betrothed. Jane Seymour, one of the queen's own ladies, would take her place. The marriage would happen within days. You felt sick at the thought, but you said nothing. You gathered your few belongings, a change of clothes, a prayer book, a ribbon the queen had once given you, and you left the tower with the other ladies. The city felt strange, loud, chaotic, full of people who had already forgotten or who had never cared. You heard laughter from a tavern. You heard merchants calling their wares. You heard children playing. Life continued. The world turned. And you stood in the middle of it, feeling like a ghost, like someone who had died but whose body had not yet realized it. Jane took your arm. "Come," she said quietly. "We must find lodging. We must rest." You nodded and let her lead you. You found a small room in a boarding house near the river. The four of you, the ladies who had served until the end, shared the space. 2 narrow beds, a single window, a wash basin. It was nothing like the chambers you had known, but it was shelter. You lay down on one of the beds, still fully clothed, and stared at the ceiling. Margaret lay beside you. Neither of you spoke. There was nothing to say. Days passed. You moved through them like a sleepwalker. You ate when food was placed in front of you. You washed when reminded. You dressed in the same gown day after day because you could not find the will to care. The other ladies were the same. Jane tried to maintain some routine, some order, but even she eventually gave up. Catherine stopped speaking entirely. And you simply existed, breathing in and out, waiting for something to change. Word reached you that the king had married Jane Seymour, 11 days after the Queen's death. 11 days. You felt nothing, not anger, not grief, just a hollow emptiness that seemed to expand until it filled everything. Jane, your companion, not the new queen, came to you one evening and sat beside you. "We cannot stay like this," she said softly. "We will fade away if we do not find purpose." You looked at her, but you did not respond. She continued, "I have heard that some noble households are looking for ladies in waiting. We could seek positions. We could begin again." You shook your head. "I cannot serve another queen," you whispered. "I cannot." But weeks became months, and slowly, painfully, you began to return to yourself. Not the girl you had been before. That girl was gone forever, but someone new, someone quieter, harder, carrying a weight that would never fully lift. Jane found a position in the household of a duchess. Margaret returned to her family's estate in the countryside. Catherine entered a convent, seeking peace in silence and prayer. And you, eventually, accepted a position as a governess to the children of a minor nobleman. Not at court. Never at court again. But a life, nonetheless. You taught the children to read and write. You taught them music and embroidery. You told them stories, though never the story of the Queen. That story you kept locked inside, a secret too painful to share. But sometimes, late at night, when the house was quiet and the children were asleep, you would sit by the window and remember. You would remember her voice, her strength, her grace in the face of death. And you would whisper into the darkness, "Thank you. Thank you for showing me what courage looks like. Thank you for teaching me that even when the world is cruel, we can choose dignity. We can choose grace. Years passed. You married, eventually. A kind man, a merchant, who asked little about your past and accepted your silences. You bore children, 2 daughters and a son. You raised them with love and care, teaching them to be strong, to be honest, to be brave. You told them stories of queens and courage, though you never named the queen you had served. That remained yours alone. As you grew older, the memories softened, not faded, but gentled by time. You could think of her without the sharp stab of grief. You could remember the scaffold without collapsing under the weight of it. You carried her with you, always. In the way you held your head high when faced with difficulty. In the way you refused to break, even when breaking would have been easier. In the way you taught your daughters that strength is not the absence of fear, but the choice to continue despite it. One evening, many years later, your eldest daughter asked you, "Mother, why do you always wear that ribbon?" You smiled softly. It was a gift, you said, from someone very brave. Your daughter nodded, accepting the answer without pressing further. And you sat together in the quiet, watching the sun set, feeling the weight of memory and the gentle comfort of time. Even as the world moved on, even as new queens rose and fell, even as the story of her life was twisted and reshaped by those who came after, you remembered the truth. And you held that memory like a candle in the dark, a small flame that could not be extinguished. When you were very old, lying in your bed with your children and grandchildren gathered around you, you finally spoke her name aloud. "Tell them," you whispered to your eldest daughter, "tell them about Queen Anne Boleyn. Tell them she was brave. Tell them she was innocent. Tell them she faced the end with grace." Your daughter nodded, tears in her eyes. "I will, Mother, I promise." And you closed your eyes, feeling a deep peace settle over you. You had kept your promise. You had remembered. And now, as you drifted toward sleep, toward whatever came next, you felt her presence beside you. Not as a ghost, but as a memory, a truth, a light that could not be extinguished by time or silence or the cruelty of kings. Let your breath slow now. Let your body rest completely. The story is finished. The Queen has been remembered. The promise has been kept. And you, the one who witnessed it all, can finally rest. Let sleep come softly, gently, like a blanket drawn over you. You have carried this story long enough. Now you can let it go, knowing that it will be told again, remembered again, honored again. The river of time flows on, carrying her memory forward, carrying your memory forward, into the future where both will live forever. Rest now, close your eyes, let the darkness hold you tenderly. You are safe, you are whole, and the story, like all true stories, will never truly end. It will only transform, passing from voice to voice, heart to heart, generation to generation, until the end of time. Sleep now, sleep deeply, and let the memory of courage be your final dream.